Ladies and gentlemen, it's a special occasion. I'm in a suit. And why am I in a suit? Well, because of after all the backlash between multiple Reddit threads, between tons of hate comments, and between all of that, I've decided to do some reflecting a little bit and realize, I am a little too negative about The Walking Dead. And, that can't go on anymore. So I became all formal, right? I became all formal. I had to get all out there. You know what I mean? And, you know what I gotta say about that? Fuck it, okay? Fuck it. All right, we're back for The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon. That was a little bit over the top. Probably some of you are gonna hate that I even did that, but whatever. We're back with The Walking Dead, and we have to talk about this episode. This is Daryl Dixon, Season 3, Episode 1, and if you saw me put this down, I have a vault of notes like I always do each episode. And, we just came off of the highs of Dexter Resurrection. So I'm recording this right after I just saw one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen. And to go from that to The Walking Dead was not something I was looking forward to be completely honest, because look, if there was something worth talking about, I would really, I'd go over the moon. Like, if this show had something that, like, Dexter Resurrection had, I'd be very excited. Unfortunately, that's just not the reality. And before I get too deep into my feelings over on the episode, I want to say the reason that this may be negative, just so you guys know, I'm really not trying to be all negative for this show. But the reason even this episode may come across a little bit more negative is because of the lack of direction. And I think watching Dexter Resurrection helped me realize this as a reason. The marketing for Daryl Dixon, the marketing for Dead City, while sure, it's exciting to see our characters in new areas, and some people want to watch it just because it's Daryl and Carol existing and doing something in their own realm and all of that stuff. My problem as a fan and as a viewer is there is no connective tissue to the main show. At least in season 2, despite Laurent going on the plane and going back to Alexandria, seemingly, there's no tie-ins to the show other than the occasional, I missed them from Daryl, like that's it. So it just feels like it's running aimless. It feels literally like Ride with Norman Reedus, except it's Daryl Dixon instead. And that's my problem as a fan of the show, because I really want to be enthralled in this world, especially knowing Rick is back home, especially knowing Alexandria is potentially thriving, and the potential stories they could tell there, but we just don't have any of that. So going into season 3, I was not excited at all. Just at all, because quite frankly, I knew season 4 was the end of the show. They already marketed that. They already announced a season 4 and announced that that's the end of it and gave some teasers that eventually, maybe we'll see something we want. But to me, going into season 3, it just feels like it's filler. And again, I try my hardest not to go into things with some preconceived notion, but it is very hard to ignore that reality. It's 100% true that this season is kind of just the filler before a lot of us fans get what we want. Now, mind you, that doesn't have to be bad, because like I already said, if it's Daryl and if it's Carol together, and you're a big enough fan of the two of them, and the atmosphere is great, which it was in this episode, it really genuinely was, and the cinematography and all of that, there is definitely something to be said there. So I can't for the life of me claim it's all negative, but it just, going into it, knowing this is kind of unless this season seems to be setting something up, which honestly, the first episode didn't really seem like it was setting up an endgame story, I just don't, naturally, I'm not going to have interest in it. Does that mean it's all bad? No, it doesn't. Like I said, one of the biggest things I felt about this episode was that the atmospherics were really cool. The cinematography included, the settings and all of that, it was really nice to see. But that's kind of where my enjoyment for the episode ended. There's a couple little sprinkles with Daryl and Carol that I liked because I do love their dynamic together. But the first 12 plus minutes of the episode, and I wrote 12 plus because I actually paused it just to look to make sure I was serious. The first 12 minutes of the episode had no dialogue. It was just them walking and occasional like, let's do this. Oh, I have hot dogs. Like, these hot dogs I want to save for a special occasion. And then it was them just like looking for food and all of that, which, mind you, was cool. Look, one of my favorite things about this is we saw Daryl and Carol going through Big Ben, which is really nice. Like where 28, I think it was days later, was filmed. I've never seen any of the 28 movies, but I know there was a shot of them at Big Ben and all of that stuff. That's really cool to see in the Daryl Dixon show or in the Walking Dead universe overall, and just to see how overrun it is. But it did get a little repetitive pretty quickly. So that was literally the first 12 minutes was them walking with like very little bit about what happened to that one character who like ran off screen in the last episode in season 2, the final episode of that, which was such a horrible episode. Very little bit with that. They basically just explained he ran away. So like, are we ever going to see him again? That was just very, very odd. And then it's just them, like, again, getting into, I guess it's London. I'm not really geographically smart. You guys know I didn't even know what the pyramid-looking thing was in France, which I still can't remember the name of. It's called, I don't even know what the fuck the name of that place is, but... Okay, so that was the first 12 minutes. It was establishing them getting around, them having no food. The only food they have is hot dogs, which, to be honest with you, made no fucking sense on the planet to me. Carol's like, oh, we're going to save this for a special occasion, yet they're stuck because of the big horde of zombies, which, yet again, they make it seem like Daryl and Carol are in this dire circumstance, but we know they're going to survive because they already marketed season 4. We see all of that, and then she's like, oh, like, I have these hot dogs I want to save for a special occasion. But you're literally fucking starving. Daryl said he went through every apartment in the building they were staying in and couldn't find any food, and they still didn't eat the hot dogs. I know they contemplated it. I know they talked about it, but bro, the answer's right there. Who gives a fuck about a special occasion? You're starving. You're venturing somewhere. Eat the fucking hot dogs. Like, what are you doing? Eat the glizzies. Just have a glizzy, please. Seriously. So then there was that. They're still stranded in there. They're waiting to wait out the herd, which apparently hasn't moved in 2 days, not 10 days. Hasn't moved in 2 days. So they're waiting it out, roughing the storm, and they see like a little like shine. And when they see this shine, they realize it's probably another person. Turns out it's apparently the only person left in London, which is interesting. He's a little weird, but like, they were setting up, like they always do with these more recent seasons, they set up the like potential of this guy. They make him seem like he's going to be like a optimistic, good character that we're going to follow and enjoy. And he was funny and all of that stuff. But then they take him out on the sailboat, which he's like, no, I don't want to go on the sailboat. I don't want to do this. Like, I feel weird about it. Take him out on the sailboat. They get caught in the storm. Obviously, he dies. And then they end up in Spain, which... I'm not exactly complaining. The only thing I'll complain about there is the CGI or the green screen effects they did on the boat was fucking abysmal. Like, it looked so fake when they were on that boat, but whatever. When they land in Spain, it was genuinely gorgeous scenery. Like this show, I think the best thing about this show, writing aside, acting, whatever aside, the cinematography is outstanding. I think it's some of the best in The Walking Dead ever. The visuals are absolutely fantastic, and that continues here. So, like, again, yeah, I don't like the story. I'm not really liking a lot of, like, what they're doing with it and how they're marketing this show. But I got to give it to the crew. The shots look absolutely excellent. The set pieces look excellent. They keep continuing to just like push the needle there, and I applaud them for that. So if there's one like really strong that I think I'm going to take away from Daryl Dixon once all is said and done and the show is wrapped, I definitely think it's going to be that. But we'll have to see what season 4 brings us, because we know season 3 is seemingly a nothing burger. A couple other cool things. I thought it was interesting that Carol used a fire extinguisher to kill a walker, and then she was like, I don't know, like in pain from that or whatever. I thought that was pretty interesting. Another thing that I do think was pretty interesting was this new group. Like, the way they came in was pretty creepy, and I got to give it to them for that, because I feel like you can make that really cheesy, but I think so far, just in this first episode, they did a good job establishing that new group. So essentially, if you guys didn't watch the episode, once they land in Spain, they find Julian, the guy who they traveled to Spain with, on the sailboat, dead. And then Carol was impaled slightly, or not impaled, stabbed with like a piece of metal from the boat wreckage. So she's in and out of a fever from the infection, and she's not doing well. So they have to camp right by the shore where their boat washed up. And when they do that, there's this like group that comes in and like almost like Viking style clothing, or like in Dead City season 2, I guess this is, or season 3. I don't even know what season we just watched of Dead City season 2, where we saw that one group that like had like the like bones on them and shit like that. It was something like that. They came in on horseback, raided the boat, and all of that stuff. So I definitely thought that was a little interesting. Somehow they evaded them, despite obviously them realizing a boat wreckage and survivors were probably on the boat because there was no dead bodies on the boat. That's going to be interesting to set up. Then it ends where they seek refuge, like on a mountain where there's like a waterfall right near them. And Carol hears some like cheery voices, and it seems like she goes out to follow them. Daryl catches a bunny, and then after he catches the bunny, he goes back to check on Carol, and then Carol is gone, and it's like this big cliffhanger, like Carol's missing. But then right when the needle drops, right when the episode ends, we see the trailer instantly. Trailer for the next episode starts instantly and shows them together again. So it's like, why the fuck do you leave it on a cliffhanger where we know they're going to find each other? That's my biggest problem with the show. They keep showing these characters in these like dire circumstances, but they're just fine. And we know they're going to be fine because they already announced season 4. So like, what the fuck is the point of watching this show? That's the problem I have. Like, great, I know you want to get the hype up, like we have a season 4 coming and all of that stuff. But also it kills any momentum that the show has because there's no stakes. That's what separates this apart from something like Dexter Resurrection, where we don't know what's coming. We didn't know what was coming with a lot of the characters in that season. So every episode, you're on the edge of your seat like, whoa, like this is crazy. None of that happened here. Frankly, this is boring and repetitive. That's what this feels like. Sorry, I'm negative again. Negative Nancy's. I already see the next Reddit post coming about me. But I have to be honest with you. Like, look, again, I have to say this here. I say it a million times. Look how much I praised Resurrection. That's because it was a good fucking show. Like, it was a genuinely good show. The writing was on point. I'm not saying the acting was bad in Daryl Dixon or anything like that, but when the writing is off, it makes you just point out everything a little bit more. And that's just how I feel. There's no stakes. It's boring. That's the biggest thing for me with this episode was it was just boring. Like I had to like just stop myself and like make sure I was paying attention multiple times because a lot of it was dead air. A lot of it was nothing. There was a couple of like nice moments between Carol and Daryl, like when they were playing the I Spy with My Little Eye game and stuff like that. And I think there was a quick flashback with Daryl as a kid in this episode, which was kind of interesting, but this isn't like doing anything for their arcs. It just feels like they're stuck in purgatory. That's what it feels like. And maybe some people are down with that, but I don't see it. I don't get it. I'm not feeling it. So time will tell. Let's see how the next couple episodes go to see where I stand with how I'm going to review the show. If I think it gets better, obviously maybe it warrants further reviews. If it stays at this pace, we'll see. Because it is true, guys. I'm just being honest. If I have nothing but bad things to say, I don't really see the point in me reviewing these either. Like, I don't know. Time will tell. I'm going to watch. I'm going to stay up with it because I do think the atmospherics are cool and what they're maybe setting up in Spain does have some potential. But obviously, we know it's going to end because they're going to get home next season, most likely. So it's like, even if I kind of like it, we'll see. I don't know. Time will tell. This episode was just doing what most season 1 episodes do in establishing stuff. So I can't like slack it too hard for that. We just have to see where this kind of takes us before I make a decision on if I'm going to cover the entire season, to be honest. Because, yeah, I don't want to be that negative Nancy all the time either. I don't want to do that. But like, I do love these shows and I want to talk about things that I care about, but it's hard to when it's like this. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Did you love this episode? Did you hate this episode? Be happy to hear from you. And with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.